Myth number 5 is that defects out of sight or out of mind, which relates to the fact that for decades now we've been building homes with a lot of little understanding about building science and how it applies to how we construct our homes. And the reality right now is the world's changing. In fact, defects are no longer invisible. And that's going to change so many critical elements in how homes are delivered to the marketplace, because now we will be able to see defects. And what is really critical here is a new, not so much a new technology, but a new cost-effective technology. This is an infrared camera. It can scan a surface and pick up the variations in thermal temperatures. An infrared camera like this used to cost $30,000. Today, a good camera like this can be bought for $8,000, with many options for cameras that are as cheap as $4,000, $2,000 or less. And once cameras become that accessible because the price is not so prohibitive, everything changes. If you're building new homes, nothing will be the same. Let me give you an example. And again, defects used to be invisible. Here's a typical house here in the eastern part of the country that would look absolutely like no problem to the average home buyer, right? Even to an architect going by. But once we take an infrared image of this kind of house, we see defects are no longer hidden. Now we can see what's going on. So let me take you through this infrared image just to show you what's being exposed here. In item number 1, we see that in older homes particularly, they were very poor attention to the rough opening around windows and doors. Today we use much more effective non-expanding foam to create a complete insulated seal around the windows and doors. In the older homes, often we would just chink fiberglass, and it wouldn't work because once you compress fiberglass, you get rid of the air pockets that make fiberglass work. Or in some cases, nothing was done, and it was just left wide open. So all the openings around windows and doors would be a tremendous thermal expressway for heat out of the house in the winter and into the home in the summer. Item number 2 shows that situation we talked about earlier with framing, where an interior wall is intersecting an exterior wall. And every time you have that condition, typically you have a very large 3.5-inch space that's left uninsulated. As shown here in this picture, you see how much heat's coming out. Now remember again, this is an infrared picture. Dark is cold, light is warm. This is a winter image. So whenever you see a warm color, you know that heat is escaping from the house to the outside, which is not what you want to happen in an energy-efficient home. So again, at number 2, you see how much heat virtually is just expressway out of the house at that wall intersection. Item number 3 shows you a situation where you have sill plate leakage. Sill plates are the piece of wood that sits on top of the subfloor. Often the wood's not very straight and not therefore often not sealed to the subfloor, and tremendous leakage happens there. Item number 4 shows you what happens as in this house where you have a heating duct running up a wall rather than through the floor inside the conditioned space. And therefore, you're effectively heating the neighborhood as well as the house. As you see in number 4, the heat's just super hot coming out of the wall. As much heat going out as going inside the home. Very poor design detail. And number 5 shows you the exterior wall lights, and often they're boxed in with framing, and then insulation's crammed in, again compressed so it doesn't work. Tremendous amount of heat coming out around the light boxes. So again, we go back and look at the previous shot of the home. Everything looks great. I'm a home buyer. No worries. But now, if someone shows me this image, maybe I have worries. Maybe I know that there are significant defects in this house. Let's look at more conditions. Here's maybe an old Victorian house down the street that might be just so adorable and it has so many emotionally attractive architectural features, craftsman details that you can never build again. But now when someone shows me an infrared image of this house, again, a winter shot, I get pretty concerned even as a lay home buyer. Again, this is a winter shot. Dark is cold surface temperatures. Light orange, yellow is warm surface temperatures. Heat is exploding out of this cute Victorian house. And the reason it's exploding out of the cute Victorian house is it's not built with the details we built today that effectively make insulation work. Remember, R value doesn't tell us very much. This house may have our insulation in the attic, but there's so many ways for the thermal flows to bypass insulation. You have virtually heat coming out of every place you can imagine in this image. Again, I don't have to be a very educated home buyer being shown this image to go, maybe now I need to think about this decision to buy that cute Victorian house. Older homes are becoming obsolete from a performance perspective. If I really care about performance, comfort, how well I'm going to secure myself against high utility bills in the future, now I have to think.